Ladies and gentlemen, today we explore a simple yet profound aspect of human life, the desire to get better. We live in a world where progress is celebrated, where the notion of growth is woven into the fabric of every endeavor we pursue. But what does it truly mean to get better? The desire to get better is not simply about achieving success or collecting accolades. It is fundamentally about deepening your understanding of yourself, expanding your potential, and living in harmony with the forces that govern your life. Growth is not an external achievement, it is an internal process, an unfolding that comes when you begin to look beyond the surface of things and align yourself with the greater flow of life. When you set out to get better, remember this improvement begins within. It is not about comparing yourself to others, but about transcending the limitations of your own mind and body. It is about embracing the present moment with full awareness, knowing that every thought, every action, every choice you make shapes the person you are becoming. Desire is one of the most powerful forces within the human experience. It drives us, motivates us, and shapes the direction of our lives. However, when we think about desire, we often focus only on the external, what we wish to achieve, what we want to own, or how we wish to be seen by others. But the true essence of desire runs much deeper than these surface-level aspirations. At its core, desire is not just a craving for external achievements or material possessions. It is a longing for growth, for transformation, for the expression of our fullest potential. This desire to get better is not about what we can show the world, but about what we are becoming within. It is an inner longing to break free from the limitations that bind us to the familiar, to push beyond the boundaries we have set for ourselves. It is the recognition that there is more to life than what we currently experience, and that we have the capacity to reach heights we have not yet imagined. When we focus on the deeper, intrinsic nature of desire, we realize that it is not about comparison to others. It is not about living up to someone else's standards or following someone else's path. True desire is about a personal journey and exploration of who we are and what we are capable of becoming. It is about shedding the layers of limitation, conditioned thinking, and societal expectations to step into a greater version of ourselves. The desire to get better in its most authentic form is not driven by competition or the need for validation. It is driven by an inner calling, a recognition that growth is not optional, but essential for our fulfillment. It comes from a deep understanding that the pursuit of improvement is a continuous process, one that is meant to unfold gradually over time. True growth happens not in bursts, but in small, meaningful steps that align with who we are at the deepest level. Therefore, when you feel the desire to get better, ask yourself, what is it that I truly long for? What part of myself am I seeking to uncover, to cultivate, to express? The desire for improvement is not merely about adding more to your life, but about uncovering what already exists within you and letting it emerge more fully into the world. It is about connecting with a deeper sense of purpose, where your actions align with your true nature, and where your growth serves not just your personal development, but the larger whole of life. Self-awareness is the cornerstone upon which all true growth is built. Without it, any effort to improve remains superficial, disconnected from the deeper currents of our inner being. To truly grow, we must first come to an intimate understanding of who we are, not just on the surface, but at the core of our existence. Without self-awareness, we remain unaware of our own limitations, repeating patterns of behavior and thought that hold us back from reaching our fullest potential. The process of growth begins with the simple yet profound act of looking inward. We must turn our attention away from the distractions of the external world and observe our own thoughts, emotions, and reactions. This isn't about judgment or criticism. It's about noticing what is happening within us, becoming conscious of our habitual responses, and seeing clearly the beliefs and patterns that shape our actions. Self-awareness is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. It requires that we observe ourselves without attachment to our identity, without identifying thoughts and emotions. Often we become so entangled with our ideas, our desires, and our struggles that we lose sight of the larger truth that we are not our thoughts, nor are we defined by our emotions. When we begin to separate ourselves from the fluctuations of the mind and body, we begin to see the space between our true nature and the noisy disturbances of everyday life. Through self-awareness, we come to recognize our strengths and weaknesses, our patterns of success and failure, and the underlying causes that influence our behaviors. It allows us to identify areas of life that need attention and healing, as well as the areas where we can build on our existing capabilities. When we know ourselves, we can move forward with clarity, making conscious choices rather than reacting impulsively to situations. Moreover, self-awareness enables us to step out of the confines of our conditioning. From childhood onward, we have accumulated beliefs, experiences, and patterns of thought that dictate how we perceive the world and ourselves. Often, these are not our own choices, but the product of societal norms, family expectations, and past experiences. By becoming aware of these patterns, we create space to question them, to challenge the narratives that no longer serve us, and to consciously choose a path that is aligned with our truest desires and aspirations. In essence, self-awareness is the key that unlocks the door to deeper understanding and transformation. It is the foundation upon which lasting change is built, for without it, we remain blind to the very forces that shape our lives. By cultivating a deep, unflinching awareness of ourselves, we begin to transcend the limitations of the past and step into a future of infinite possibility. Growth, then, is not an external achievement, but an inner unfolding that begins with the simple act of seeing clearly, and from that clarity making choices that lead us toward a fuller, more expansive way of being. Discipline and consistency are two of the most crucial elements in the journey of personal growth. While desire and awareness may ignite the flame of change within us, it is discipline and consistency that keep the fire burning, steadily guiding us toward transformation. Without these qualities, the sparks of insight and inspiration we experience can easily fade into oblivion, leaving us with only the fleeting memory of what could have been. Discipline is often misunderstood as a form of restriction or control, but true discipline is not about limiting yourself, it is about choosing what you prioritize, aligning your actions with your higher intentions, and creating a structure in which your potential can unfold. It is the conscious choice to direct your energy toward the things that matter most, even when distractions, obstacles, and the pull of comfort try to divert your attention. Discipline is the foundation of commitment. It is not about being rigid or harsh with yourself, but about creating habits that support your growth both mentally and physically. Through discipline, we learn to make decisions in alignment with our values, not based on fleeting impulses. It is easy to succumb to the whims of the moment, to indulge in distractions, procrastinate, or avoid the hard work required for true transformation. Discipline, however, calls us to rise above these impulses and consistently direct our energy toward what we truly want to create in our lives. It allows us to move past the temporary discomfort of effort, knowing that every step we take, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture of who we are becoming. Consistency, on the other hand, is the steady application of discipline over time. It is not enough to be disciplined for a few days, weeks, or even months. True growth requires consistency, the ability to show up every day, no matter the circumstances, and continue to put in the effort. This is where most people falter. In the early stages of any endeavor, we may be filled with enthusiasm and energy, but as the initial excitement wanes, so does our motivation. Without consistency, the discipline we practice begins to lose its effectiveness, and we find ourselves drifting back into old habits, stagnant in our growth. Consistency ensures that growth is sustained. It is the quiet force that moves us forward, even when we do not feel like it, even when progress seems slow or when the end goal feels distant. It teaches us patience and resilience, helping us to stay the course and keep working toward our aspirations, even in the face of setbacks or challenges. Consistency is the daily commitment to ourselves, the repeated choices to show up for the process of becoming better, even when the results are not immediately visible. Together, discipline and consistency create a powerful synergy. Discipline provides the structure and direction, while consistency ensures that we remain on the path, continually refining and strengthening our efforts. When these two qualities are combined, growth becomes inevitable. We begin to see the fruit of our labor, and with each small victory, we build momentum, propelling ourselves further along the path of self-improvement. The power of discipline and consistency lies not in grand gestures, or monumental changes, but in the steady, small actions that accumulate over time. Just as a river carves its way through solid rock not by force but through persistent flow, so too does consistent effort shape and refine our lives. Through discipline, we learn to focus, and through consistency, we transform. Together, they ensure that the desire to get better is not just a fleeting wish, but a living reality that grows stronger each day. The ego, in its most fundamental sense, is the sense of self that we identify with, the story we tell ourselves about who we are. It is the collection of beliefs, ideas, and experiences that shape our perception of the world and our place within it. The ego is not inherently negative, but when it becomes rigid and overly defined, it can become a significant barrier to growth. The desire to get better, to truly transform, cannot flourish in the confines of a limited ego. To grow beyond the ego means to transcend the narrow view of who we think we are and to open ourselves up to the vast, uncharted potential that lies beyond these self-imposed boundaries. One of the most significant aspects of the ego is its tendency to cling to self-limiting beliefs. These beliefs are often ingrained in us from a young age, messages we have received from family, society, or our own experiences that shape how we view ourselves and the world. They can come in many forms. I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. I'm too old. I'm too inexperienced. Or this is how things are meant to be. These beliefs create walls around us, preventing us from seeing the full scope of our abilities and potential. They limit our perception and keep us confined to a small, controlled space, stopping us from venturing beyond what we already know. To grow, we must recognize these self-limiting beliefs for what they are: mental constructs. They are not facts. They are not truths. They are simply patterns of thought that have become so ingrained in our consciousness that they feel like part of our identity. But they are not us. The moment we begin to see these beliefs as mere thoughts, we begin to take the first step toward breaking free from them. Letting go of self-limiting beliefs requires a shift in awareness. We must become willing to question the beliefs that have shaped our lives and to challenge the assumptions that we have held about ourselves. This is not an easy process. It demands vulnerability and courage. The ego, after all, thrives on certainty and control. When we let go of the beliefs that define us, we are stepping into the unknown, a place where our sense of self is no longer fixed and defined, but fluid and expansive. This can be uncomfortable, even terrifying, but it is the only way to break through the constraints that limit our growth. To truly let go of the ego's grip, we must begin by recognizing that our worth is not defined by our achievements, possessions, or any external validation. It is inherent in who we are. We are not the sum of our past successes or failures. We are not the labels that others may place upon us. Our potential for growth is not limited by anything we have experienced or been told. We are beings of infinite possibility, and when we let go of the limiting beliefs of the ego, we allow ourselves to access this boundless potential. This process of letting go also requires forgiveness, both for ourselves and for others. The beliefs that limit us are often tied to past experiences, to hurts, disappointments, or judgments we have carried with us. To release these beliefs, we must be willing to let go of the pain and resentment tied to them. We must forgive ourselves for holding on to these beliefs and free ourselves from the grip of the past. It is only through this act of release that we create space for new possibilities to arise. Letting go of the ego and its self-limiting beliefs is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. It is a daily act of mindfulness and awareness, of observing our thoughts and questioning the beliefs that arise, of noticing when we are holding on to an old story about who we are and gently choosing to release it. Each time we let go, we make room for something new to emerge, for new ways of thinking, new ways of being, and new ways of experiencing the world. When we transcend the limitations of the ego, we open ourselves to the vastness of our potential. We become free from the constraints that have held us back and begin to live in alignment with true nature. The ego, while a necessary aspect of our human experience, becomes a tool for growth rather than a barrier to it. In this space, we can truly begin the journey of getting better, not just in the external sense, but in the deepest, most profound sense, by becoming more aligned with the boundless energy and infinite possibilities that lie within us. The ego, as it is commonly understood, is the constructed sense of self, the identity we create based on our past experiences, our labels, and the roles we assume in life. It defines who we believe we are, and in doing so, it often places limitations on our growth. The ego thrives on patterns, on familiar stories, on comfort. Yet for true transformation to happen, we must move beyond the boundaries set by the ego and let go of the self-limiting beliefs it holds. Self-limiting beliefs are often the result of the ego's attachment to past experiences, failures, or the judgments we have internalized from society, family, or culture. These beliefs manifest as thoughts such as "I am not good enough," "I will never be successful," or "this is as far as I can go." They are deep-rooted mental constructs that shape how we see ourselves and what we believe we are capable of. These beliefs often go unquestioned because they become so ingrained in our identity, and as long as we continue to identify with them, they hold us in a cage of self-doubt and limitation. To grow beyond the ego, we must first recognize these beliefs for what they are: simply thoughts. They are not truths. They are not immutable facts. They are patterns that can be changed, but only if we have the awareness and willingness to challenge them. The key to transcending the ego is to question the beliefs that limit us, to confront the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, and to realize that we are not confined to those stories. Letting go of these beliefs requires courage, for it often means stepping into the unknown, where the familiar comfort of the ego's narratives no longer applies. But true growth happens in this space of uncertainty. When we release the grip of self-limiting beliefs, we create the possibility for new ways of thinking, new perspectives, and ultimately new experiences. It is in this letting go that we open ourselves to discovering who we truly are beyond the confines of the ego's limitations. This process involves recognizing that our worth is not defined by our past or our achievements. It is inherent in who we are. We do not need external validation, approval, or accolades to prove our value. By releasing the need to seek validation from the outside world, we begin to see our true potential, which lies far beyond the stories of the ego. The ego often resists this letting go because it thrives on control, certainty, and familiarity. It seeks to protect us from the discomfort of change, but it is precisely in this discomfort that transformation occurs. The more we are willing to challenge the ego's stories and beliefs, the more space we create for new growth, new experiences, and deeper truths to emerge. To release the self-limiting beliefs of the ego, we must practice mindfulness and awareness. This requires us to observe our thoughts and beliefs without attachment, without judgment, and without identifying with them. It is the ability to notice when the ego is at play, when its narratives are influencing our thoughts and actions, and to gently question their validity. By doing so, we begin to loosen the grip the ego has on us, allowing our true nature to emerge. This letting go is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. Each time a limiting belief arises, we must be willing to see it for what it is: a thought, a conditioned response, a pattern, and release it. The more we practice this, the less power these beliefs hold over us and the more aligned we become with our authentic selves. As we let go of these limiting beliefs, we begin to experience the freedom that comes from living beyond the ego. We open ourselves to the limitless possibilities of life, free from the constraints of past conditioning. In this space, we can begin to truly get better, not because we are trying to prove something to the world or to ourselves, but because we are finally free to express the fullness of who we truly are, unburdened by the weight of self-limiting beliefs. Patience is an often overlooked but vital aspect of personal growth. In a world that prizes immediacy and instant gratification, patience seems like a virtue in short supply. We are constantly bombarded by messages that tell us we should expect quick results, whether in our careers, relationships, or personal aspirations. However, the process of true growth, whether it's in the realm of self-improvement, skill development, or transformation, cannot be rushed. Patience is essential because it allows us to remain steady, focused, and resilient through the gradual unfolding of our potential. When we are patient, we acknowledge that growth is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey that requires time. It is easy to become disheartened when we do not see immediate results, especially when we put in hard work and effort, yet the fruits of our labor seem distant. But patience teaches us that this is simply part of the process. In nature, things grow at their own pace. A tree doesn't rush to reach the sky, nor does a river hasten its journey to the sea. Everything in life unfolds according to its own rhythm, and growth is no different. Patience allows us to trust in this natural process even when we cannot immediately see the changes taking place. Moreover, patience teaches us to let go of the need for control. We often have an attachment to a specific outcome, an expectation of how things should be and when they should happen. This attachment can lead to frustration, stress, and feelings of inadequacy when things do not unfold as planned. Patience invites us to release these expectations, to allow the process to unfold without forcing or manipulating it. When we practice patience, we cultivate the ability to be present with where we are, to embrace the journey instead of constantly fixating on the destination. In addition, patience nurtures resilience. When things take longer than expected, when setbacks occur, or when progress feels slow, it is patience that helps us to keep going. Without patience, the smallest of obstacles can feel insurmountable, and we may be tempted to give up too soon. But when we practice patience, we are able to remain steady, to endure challenges with a calm and composed mind. This mental fortitude is essential for long-term success and growth because the path of improvement is rarely linear. There will be setbacks, frustrations, and moments of doubt. Patience allows us to persevere through these inevitable moments of difficulty. Patience also fosters a deeper level of mindfulness and presence. When we are impatient, we are often focused on what is not yet here, on what has not yet been achieved. This creates a sense of disconnection from the present moment, leading us to overlook the small, incremental progress we are making. Patience encourages us to stay grounded in the present, to appreciate the small steps and subtle changes that may not be immediately visible. When we are patient, we learn to be more fully engaged in the process, appreciating each moment for what it offers. Additionally, patience allows for deeper learning. When we rush to achieve something or force a result, we may miss the nuances, the subtleties, and the lessons along the way. True understanding comes not from rushing to the finish line, but from taking the time to fully absorb the experience. When we are patient, we are more likely to reflect on our actions, to gain insight from our mistakes, and to grow from each experience. Rushed growth often leads to shallow understanding, while patient growth leads to wisdom and lasting change. Patience also invites self-compassion. In the pursuit of growth, we are often our own harshest critics. We want things to happen faster, and we may feel frustrated when we don't meet our expectations. Patience helps us to be kinder to ourselves, to recognize that growth is a process that takes time and that it's okay to move at our own pace. It helps us to accept ourselves where we are in the moment, without harsh judgment or self-criticism. When we cultivate patience, we also build a sense of trust in the unfolding of our lives. We come to understand that every experience, every delay, every challenge is part of the larger picture of our growth. Patience helps us to trust that the time we are investing in ourselves and in our journey is not wasted, even if it doesn't yield immediate results. It teaches us to trust in life itself, knowing that everything happens in its own time, and that our progress is unfolding exactly as it should. In conclusion, the desire to get better is a profound force within us, urging us to rise beyond our limitations and step into our highest potential. It is a journey that begins with self-awareness, where we learn to understand ourselves deeply and recognize the patterns that shape our lives. It is sustained by discipline and consistency, the quiet yet powerful companions that help us stay committed to our aspirations. Along the way, we must transcend the ego and let go of self-limiting beliefs, freeing ourselves from the constraints of past conditioning. Patience becomes our guide, reminding us that true transformation is not rushed but unfolds with time, trust, and persistence. This journey is not without challenges, but it is one worth undertaking. Each step, no matter how small, moves us closer to a fuller, richer expression of who we truly are. Growth is not a destination, but a continuous unfolding, a dance between effort and surrender, discipline and grace, intention and acceptance. As we embrace this process, we discover that the desire to get better is not about becoming someone else, but about uncovering the limitless potential that has always been within us. Let us walk this path with courage, clarity, and an open heart, knowing that every moment is an opportunity to grow, and every step brings us closer to the essence of our true self.